Join me back at Red Spring Wildlife Park, a franchise zoo here in Planet Zoo. Today we are building a walkthrough habitat for our wallabies. In this video we'll explore how wallabies have become the unexpected stars of this wildlife park. They have been captivating zoo visitors with their adorable personalities. One of the biggest challenges that I've found when trying to integrate wallabies into any of my zoos is finding the right space for them. Because in real life these marsupials actually require quite a lot of space, so that's why when you go to kind of like zoos and wildlife parks you tend to find them in like walk-through enclosures. Wallabies are known to be expert jumpers, so their enclosures, which I like to build, need to be designed with quite high fences. This is just another security measure just to stop them from escaping. Another challenge that we are going to come across is that in the wild they do like to live in quite large groups, so obviously we're going to mimic that in game as best as I can. So we're going to have a pretty good group of wallabies. Okay, so I'm just going to get the path outline put down now. So this is going to be just where the guests go. Also as well, I do apologise, I'm a little bit ill at the point of recording this. I honestly don't think I've sneezed as much as I have in this past week. It's been absolutely crazy. So now we've got the path down, I'm just adding a guest gate just so the zoo guests can enter and exit. And then we're just going to go around the perimeter with a null barrier. So this is going to be completely null barrier. I'm going to do my own custom fencing, so that should be quite fun, so stick around to see that happen. And as well, if you're not already subscribed, hit the little logo, it's my little logo in the right hand corner of the video. Hit that subscribe button, stick around for the series. I've got loads and loads of Planet Zoo content. I've also got Planet Coaster 1 content, and then I'll have Planet Coaster 2 content come in this upcoming week, so that should be fun. And then hopefully around Christmas time I want to do like a little giveaway, like a little Christmas giveaway, because I've never really done anything like that, so I thought why not do it, find something cool to give away. It will be Planet Zoo related because that's the main focus of the channel. So yeah, if you like the sound of that, hit that little subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner, or if you're on mobile just scroll down and it'll be there somewhere. And then just in the background there I've just made some like little wallaby huts because I thought they looked quite cool. So what I've made is just like a 4x4 with an opening at the front. I've used the conservation wood pieces and then the iron roof from the Australian pack, and I've just sinked it down probably 2 meters underground just so it's a little bit more shallow. So this is going to be where the wallabies can kind of chill out in the day, go to shelter. There's going to be loads of trees and stuff in here anyway, but it's just going to be like their little area which they can chill out in away from the guests. And then just for the perimeter of the enclosure I've used the Australian window piece, I believe it's called, it's the 4 meter one. And then I've just grabbed some of the mesh. I'm not sure if the console players will have that just yet. I can't remember if it came from the pack. And then this tricky corner here, I'm just going to have to kind of use an off-grid piece, just one of the smaller wall pieces, sink it down and rotate it into position, just so I can hide that gap, because I've not exactly put the guest gate onto the grid. I could move it over, but I just wanted a little bit of a gap just so it's not exactly on the corner. And then here what I'm doing is I'm just making some final amendments to the null barriers. So as you know in game you can only stretch it to 20 meters. So I'm just kind of adding bits just so I can extend it a little bit further. Also as well, let me know down below if you prefer using null barriers or if you prefer using the in-game ones. I personally like some of the in-game ones, but I do very much prefer using the null barrier because I can just make my own. I think it's easier. For sandbox and stuff it looks nicer. Franchise you can get away with it to some extent, because it doesn't really degrade over time, so that's quite good. It's good for like a money saving thing in franchise as well. Okay, and as you can see we've made quite a big space for our wallabies. So I'm just going to connect the path from the guest gate up to our main path. Okay, and now that's complete, we're on to the exciting part. So we're just going to open up the animal trading and get it filtered down to the redneck wallabies. So as you can see we've got a couple of options here. Obviously we've only got males, we've got a very expensive leucistic female one, but I'm not going to spend that much because I won't, it's crazy. I would never spend that much. So we're just going to pick out a couple of males and then we're going to keep refreshing over time and hope that we find some females because we do want to ideally have a couple of babies. Okay, we'll just do one last refresh and yeah, there's still none in the animal market. So we'll take the 3 that we've got and we'll just transport them over to our quarantine, which will be moving at some point. Also as well, I do really want to utilise a couple of them gold star animals because they came from challenges. I think I've got loads. I think I've got like a couple of albino ones as well, leucistic ones. I think I've got some melanistic ones as well. So I might actually have a look this afternoon and then because we've pretty much done all of the ones that I wanted to do now, and we're starting to add more just like normal animals from newer packs, I might start adding a couple of these golden ones just to give the zoo a bit of a better rating and hopefully get more conservation credits. And I'm absolutely fighting for my life with this path here, so I'm going to get it right. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cover up the facility behind there, because the water treatment, it's got the radius on it, which gives like a negative impact on guests. Personally, when I'm at a zoo or wildlife park, I don't really look at them. I don't tend to bother if they're in the way, but apparently Planet Zoo, the guests don't like it, so we've got to cover it up with some nice scenery. And we've just refreshed the animal trading as well, and 2 female redneck wallabies have come up, so I've just grabbed them and I'm going to get them to join the others in the quarantine. Okay, and on to the entrance of the Wallaby walkthrough. So I'm just going to add a couple of scenery pieces here, and then we're going to jump out a speed build and make a pretty cool sign. Okay, so for the sign for the main entrance to the Wallaby walkthrough, I'm going to use this Australian sign, which is editable, because I want one that's editable so I can actually add the words in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a couple of different bits. So I'm going to add one of the, I believe it's just the 2D Wallaby animal sign, I think it's called. And then I'm just going to add some arrows just to point guests. I know the arrows don't work, but it's just for show. Okay, and I'm just going to pop this next section into speed build just while I spice up the area and add some foliage. Okay, just hopping out of speed build, I'm just going to hop back into the animal trading because I do want some more female wallabies. So I want to pad out the enclosure a little bit more just so we can get more of like a breeding program going, because we do want to have like baby wallabies at some point down the line. And then them two are just going to join the rest of the wallabies in the quarantine centre, and then we're going to hop straight back over to the enclosure and we're going to add some enrichment. So whilst I do that in the background, I just wanted to touch on why I've hopped back to the Australia and the Oceania pack. So I think it's quite nice sometimes to actually visit some of the older packs. I say older because obviously Oceania's a little bit newer than the Australia pack, but it's nice to kind of have like sort of refresh because I've never really dived into the pack. I've only used like little bits and bobs here, there and everywhere, but I wanted a complete series where I mainly focus on both of those packs. So obviously we've got the continent here, it's pretty cool. So it's all about like trying to get that general vibe, that full-on outback vibe. I know some of the plants and stuff aren't realistic, but at the end of the day it's a game. We're going to head for like, or maybe close to realism actually. That's more the kind of vibe we're going for. But fear not, because we've got 4 more Australian animals, maybe 5. Yep, 5 more Australian animals, sorry. And then we're heading over and we're doing like a kind of little cool area. I won't say too much just yet, but it's pretty cool. I've used like a nice little workshop item area and I've just kind of spruced it up, made it fit in with the theme. And then on the 7th episode from now, we're actually diving into the Zookeeper's Animal Pack. I know I'm a little bit behind, but I've not had chance. I didn't get a chance to do it on release day. I've been so busy, I've literally been all over the shop, so yeah, it's been nice to actually sit down with the Zookeeper Animal Pack. So yeah, we're going to be adding one of the animals, and then after that we've got a little education episode which I think will be quite fun. And then that's pretty much where I'm up to at the minute. I have also made, you might have seen it on the community page on my channel, I've made a pretty cool habitat for one of the Australian animals that I've done later down the line. And if you look quite closely you can see a pretty cool structure in the background. Well, I won't reveal too much, but that bit there is going to be like a really cool complex. I might add one of the other Zookeeper Animal Pack in there, because I've got quite a cool idea for that. So yeah, watch this space and there'll be newer animals in the zoo, which is pretty cool. Okay, so unfortunately we've had our very first fine of the series. So we've had a minus $500 spot fine from the inspector. So this is what happens when you have protesters in your zoo when the inspector is going around. So I'm just going to check out what that was, and I don't know if this is a bug, maybe I should report it, but I've noticed a couple of times when I've been playing franchise mode, disable animal alerts always turns off. And I know it's my fault for not putting the water dishes in the emu cage. That should be an essential, but obviously it didn't cross my mind when doing it. But I've noticed it a couple of times. I've had to go in and retoggle it on again quite a couple of times. So I don't know why it keeps defaulting. I might have to check my actual settings outside of franchise mode, because I don't know if I've turned it off for sandbox mode and it's just kind of carried over. I'm not 100% sure, but if anyone else has had that, let me know down below. And obviously I've got this recording here so I can just report it if I need to, but I don't know if it's a me problem or a Frontier problem. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll check in the background. Like I say, it probably is a setting that I've switched on when I've been playing sandbox or something. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll double check and I'll let you know. So here is the gang causing a ruckus in my zoo and getting me fines. I know they're here for very good reasons, but again, it's not nice causing a ruckus, is it, guys? So I fixed your problem, so off you pop. And then pretty much what we're going to do from here is I'm just going to add a couple of more litter bins and kind of benches and stuff, because I've had a couple of reports on the guest tab just saying that the litter is disgusting. So that's just like a common guest conversation that they put in. It comes up as like a guest fort. You can check it from the zoo tab. So I'm just going to go around. I'm going to add more litter bins. I'm going to also hire an extra caretaker as well, which you've just seen. And then hopefully that fixes the problem of the litter. But obviously as it expands, you just kind of need to expand with your staff as well and make sure you've got the facilities to handle all the litter. So obviously they buy stuff from the shops and they just chuck it on the floor. They've got no regard for the environment. So, and another thing that I really like in Planet Zoo, but I can't really do it without bin covers, is that they have the two separate options in the standard Planet Zoo one. So they have the blue and the green bin, one for litter and one for recycling. I think that's really cool for the game, but like I say, you can't really achieve it without having like themed bin covers. So I might come back and do that in a later episode, because I do quite like the aspect that there's recycling in game. And obviously the main focus of this zoo is like animal rescue and like all the eco credentials that come with running a zoo. So I want it to be as sustainable as possible. I would like to kind of have like the recycling there, so anything we take in can kind of be repurposed, because obviously that's quite a subject that's close to my heart, because that's my 9 to 5. So yeah, it's quite interesting, to be fair. I know it's boring to most people, but I guess once you get into it, it's quite a boring but also interesting thing. Okay, and now all of our redneck wallabies have now passed their quarantine. I'm just going to get the staff path edited and added into the back of the enclosure, just so the caretakers and everyone else who's transporting the animals can actually get in. And then we're going to get the wallabies moved into their new home. Okay, so our first resident wallaby has now arrived. So welcoming into the paddock, Adalia, I believe. So I'm just going to check their terrain tab, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop around and just make it match all of their terrain requirements, because there's probably too many plants in here. So obviously I want the terrain to be as accurate as possible, just so I can get their welfare as high as possible, because we are in franchise mode and we need the highest welfare possible for our animals. Okay, and also in the previous video, just cutting in here, so I did ask for some name suggestions for the emus, and Sparrow gave some pretty cool names which I quite like. So we're going to just go ahead. I need to be very careful, because there's something over here I don't want you to see just yet. So Sparrow gave the names of Snap, probably guess where this is going, and then let me just find the other two, and then we're going to have Crackle. Oh, brain is not braining today. And where's the third one? And then we're going to have Pop. So just like the Rice Krispies, we've got Snap, Crackle and Pop. So they're loving life in their little... Oh, sneak preview. You did not see anything there. So they're loving life in their little enclosure. I'm just unpause for a second so you can see them. So this one here is Snap. He's the pretty cool boisterous swan. And then we've got Crackle, who is chilling indoors. I know the backstages aren't fully padded out. And then we've got Pop, who's just popped out to say hello to us, which is pretty cool. Okay, so now we've got the terrain as close as we can possibly get without it looking too crazy. We're now welcoming in our very first guests to the Wallaby walkthrough. So this is quite a cool moment because obviously they've only just arrived, so the guests are going to start arriving. So I need to think quick and get all my donation bins and all my education in there. So I'm just going to whiz around now. I've made some kind of preset ones which I've used in the last couple of episodes. So it's just using the Australian education backboard, I believe it's called. It's the one where it's got the metal frame around and you just kind of attach your own education board to it. And then I'm just using 2 of the Australian logs, I believe it's the 2-meter ones. And I've just covered the legs from the existing habitat education. So obviously as I'm going around, the further side of the enclosure is not covered by any electricity. So obviously I'm going to have to go and add some more facilities further back just so it stretches out. And obviously as we expand the zoo, we're going to be having more sustainable energy sources. So you're looking like solar panels, wind turbines, all them things. Obviously the solar panels, they don't have a negative impact on guests, so you can put them as close to the path as possible. But the wind turbines have quite a small radius that negatively affects the guests. I'm not sure why, because they're both kind of similar. They're both good for the environment. They're better than the generators, so I don't really understand why the wind turbine has like a negative impact, but I guess there's reasoning for it in the game. So that pretty much ends this one here, to be quite honest. It's a nice and short one, but we've got plenty done. So again, if you have enjoyed this one, I would be very, very grateful if you could subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to build it as best as possible. I'm hoping to release these episodes every single week alongside with Planet Coaster 2 content. I've kind of been sketching up in the background and I've got some pretty cool stuff planned for that one. So I'm hoping to get stuff released quite close to release day. Obviously I know some people aren't interested in Planet Coaster, so that's why we're going to keep Planet Zoo going as well. And obviously we've got a new pack coming out. I think it's around springtime next year, so that's exciting. I really did think it was the end for Planet Zoo. Had me a little bit worried. But I will catch you guys in the next one. And if you have enjoyed this one, drop a comment down below. It's going to be tricky to name all the wallabies, but if you want to name a couple of them, that's completely fine. I'll do that in the next episode. And I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers guys. Bye bye.